Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Augusto Argandoña Fine Arts. Anytime in the course of this narrated tutorial, you can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you should want to see information about my virtual classes or see the rest of my paintings, you may do so visiting my website at aafinearts.com. This tutorial is about how to paint cascading water or a small waterfall with watercolors. This particular scene happens to be up in the northern regions of the country. We don't have anything that looks like this here in Florida, but I designed this scene to make it look like northern United States. It's not a big waterfall. It's a small waterfall. Some rocks, a little bit of a pool of water at the bottom of the rocks, and a forest in the background. So it's a fairly simple image. So without much ado, let's just go ahead and do the fun part of this tutorial, and that is the painting part. So I will start by getting myself positioned here in my drawing table, and I will start by doing the upper portion, establishing the darker values up in the forest behind first. So for that, I will go ahead and wet the paper in that area. I'm going to get rid of that and bring that all the way over where the rocks will be. There will be quite a bit of sunlight in this area, so I'm not going to cover the rocks area yet, or the water. I'm just going to be doing the background, establishing the darker values first. Right there, like that. I may come back into some of these areas a little later, because there will be some vegetation here and here too, but for now, this is going to be this way. Okay, so now I will change brushes to, well, before I do that, I think I'm going to go ahead and start with some lighter values of greens for some of the areas that will have quite a bit of sunlight. So I'm going to start with those lighter colors over here. Just quickly establishing those areas, and I'm going to bring those colors over here too. A little bit more. I'm using raw sienna, aureolin yellow, and cerulean blue, but primarily some of the raw sienna and aureolin yellow, getting the warm colors that will be into this area. Come over here like that. There. Bring a little bit more of the cerulean blue and the aureolin yellow with the raw sienna. Making some of these areas a little brighter, a little darker also. Getting all the way to the edge. Pretty much leaving everything white on the foreground and just establishing the lighter colors for this forest in the background. There we are. Now I'm going to start increasing the value of those colors to get them a little darker, particularly in this area where the darker greens will be. The forest is going to be a little bit on the shade and here, mostly in the sun over here. So because of that, I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to the sunny side, especially over here, there, like that. leaving some darker areas, some lighter areas, especially over here, close to where the water will be. There, like that. Okay, so now I will start bringing other colors, more of the raw sienna and the sea green. Start establishing some of the darker areas, doing it as sort of as alternating areas of lights and darks and cools and warm greens, like that. So now I'm gonna change brushes. I don't need that flat brush anymore for this, what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna clean my brush, put it aside. I'm gonna start using my round brush. I'm gonna get more of the aureole in yellow and the raw sienna, and start darkening some of those areas now. Now I'm going to start doing some of the textural effects of that greenery, like that. Come over here, like that. I'm also going to bring some of the colors. I'm going to bring some burnt umber into that green. And also a little bit of ultramarine blue. Cool it down. Kind of dark over here, like that. Now I'm going to start shaping some of those rocks. Like that. I think I'm going to change brushes to my mop brush because I can cover quite a bit of an area with a mop brush. It holds quite a bit of water too, so. Same color mixture, this time with ultramarine blue, like that. And get rid of that brush. Go back to the brush that I'm more familiar with. More raw sienna and the sea green. There we are. This is much better. Go like this, like that. Now I'm going to change brushes again. My larger round brush, and get the same colors, but this time with Payne's Gray instead of ultramarine. Get a little bit of the textural effect in this tree area. More of the Payne's Gray now. Get some of these dark areas. Right down to the rocks. Now start shaping the foliage. There. I'm going to bring another color. I'm going to bring some quinacridone gold deep. give a little different look to this forest. Bring a little bit more of the quinacridone gold deep and the Payne's gray. Go back to the raw sienna and the undersea green. The shape in some of the trees now. Right down to where the rocks will be and where the pool of water will be like that there. Now, while I'm doing this, the paper's beginning to dry, so I'm gonna leave all that texturing done. I'm gonna go back to my flat brush and start smoothing down some of these areas because I don't want too much texture in some areas. I didn't dip my brush in the water. Everything is kind of a dry brush here, but the paper is saturated, that's why I'm eliminating any textures. This will be more in the distance, so just areas of color. There we are. There, okay. I'm gonna leave that alone. Now I'm gonna bring in a little bit more of the dark green into this area. There, like that. There. Get rid of the water. Now I will get my pocket knife. With my pocket knife, I'm going to start getting doing some of the tree trunks. Like that. And branches coming out of those trunks. Like that. Over here is still kind of dry, wet, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring another tree here, like that. I'll try over here. Yeah, it's all right, I can do that. Like that. Do a thicker one over here. Maybe too thick, but we'll take it. It'll be all right. Now there we'll do some one coming on like this. That. Some over here. Out in the forest, there's all kinds of twigs and branches and going in every direction. So it's fun to do this. Like that. That's enough. I'm going to take care of that now. Get rid of some of that thickness there. There we are, that's much better. I'll let that dry. Now, while that's drying, I'm going to bring a little bit of water over here, connect it with this green. There, like that. And bring some of that greenery on this side with the same colors. Connect it right into the back. A little bit of that and pinks gray here too. Sea green. Like that. There. Do the same thing on this other side. Bring a little bit of water here. This time we're not connecting that. There. Like that. Okay. Now, while that's drying, I'm gonna get me, let's see, this is drying nicely. I'm gonna use a small brush, and this time I'm going to get some manganese blue. A little bit of a cobalt blue, and a little bit of the green that I have in my palette. I'll start coming down over here and do this cascading water. Add a little bit of water over here. Like that. Get some of the manganese and ultramarine blue and start coming down here like this. There. A little bit of the greenish tint. Leave some whites. A little bit over here, give me some water, and the same colors. A little bit of the yellow. A little bit of that over here too. There. Now I'm going to blend some of this like that. Okay, let that dry. Before it dries, I'm gonna add some water over here for the where the create the foaming portion of the where this little pool. With the same colors, the ultramarine with this greenery, and add some foaming over here. And with the clean paper towel, I'm going to start blotting out some, but I'm not removing the color. Like that. Now, with my flat brush, and I'll add a little bit more water over here and bring the same colors right into this pooling area. The water will be a little bit of the green reflection of what's happening above. Like that. Later on, I'll darken some of those areas, but for now, I'm going to leave it like that. A little bit more of that water effect. A little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of the raw sienna to some of the darker areas of the water with this in this little pool. Like that. There we go. Let that dry. Now I'm going to change brushes to my, this is pretty much almost dry. This flat brush, and I'm going to start doing the colors of the rocks. This, I'm going to start with some rocks over here. Okay. With this, with the water, right at the edge of the water there, like that. Then I'm going to bring in some burnt umber, some brown matter, and the ultramarine, and get some of the gray colors of the rocks here. Get some texture also, right over the water, where the water is beginning to fall, like that. I'm going to add a little bit of water in some areas there. Bring some of the color of the rock there. Right where this edge of this foliage is. More brown matter and ultramarine. Get a darker gray tone for those rocks. Leaving some areas white too. And where the water meets the rock, I'm going to add some water here like that, and do a little bit of darker color for the water. Right like that. And continue with the rocks. that. Bring a little bit of the burnt umber rather. A little bit of burnt sienna. Some of these rocks over here. Again, I'm going to add some water here, and where that water meets the rocks, get some darker colors like that. More ultramarine. Get some darker colors over here. Like that. Same thing here. And using my smaller brush, I'm going to bring some of those dark colors right into the areas where the rock is still showing through the water that's falling. Like that. Before this dries, I will bring my plastic section of a credit card and scratch some textures on these rocks. There. Shapes of the rocks. A little bit of that over here with my pocket knife too. There, like that. Come over here and continue with the rocks. Bring some cerulean blue into those shapes too. Get some of these rocks that are lighter grays. Well, a little bit of that brown color. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some water over here. Come on, right over here. Some clean water down here. I'm bringing the color of the rocks. Like that. Bring some cerulean blue also with this gray, right where the water is cascading and foaming at the bottom there. And bring those rocks right over here, like that. Before it dries, we also have another tool over here that does the similar things, and I'm going to do some shapes of those rocks. all this texture and shaping of the rocks is done that way. And let that dry, and while that's drying, come over here and show some of the rocks that are shown through the water. Like that. Some over here. Like that. Bring on some a little bit of the green, the water, the green and the brown. Some of the dark colors there. Do some texturing with my hand. Like that. There. Okay. This is a little rivulet of water coming down. So we'll add a little bit of color there too. There. Some of the water coming down here too. There we are, like that. Now, with some burnt sienna and with this gray, and do some of the rocks that are on the top. Like that. And also bring some sepia and the ultramarine and get some of the darker areas. Like that. Maybe do a little bit of texture in there too. And this little pool of water over here is going to have nice color. There we are. And then we'll break this line a little bit where the waters begin to form at the source of the break. Yeah, like that. Okay, now I'm gonna start darkening some of these rocks. With some cerulean blue. Like that. Now bring some of the ultramarine and this green and do a little bit of the detail on the where the water breaks. This little pool of water, get a little few ripples. There, like that. And the painting is almost done. Now what I'm gonna do is get some of that raw sienna and the sea green and Payne's gray, and do some of the dark effects of foliage over here. Like that. Maybe use my brush this way. There, like that. thing on this other side. Like that. Have a few areas of green here and there. Little bushes that are coming, growing out of the outcrops of the rocks. A little bit more over here. And finally, I take a smaller brush, my regular brush, get some sepia with the gray that I have in my palette, and do some of the larger, darker saplings or small trunks. Like that. Just give an indication of a different type of tree trunk. Get some of the branches coming out of those other trees. And then, in fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a smaller brush and do some darker, get some cerulean blue and sepia and do some darker trunks over here. Like that. There. And the painting is done. So I'm going to remove the tape and put this on top of a darker board so you can appreciate what you see. Remove this tape. Here comes the dark board. I'll put this over here. I'm going to minimize it. And there you are. There's the waterfall. Straighten this up. There. Little waterfall. Some of the rocks being shown through the water. All of this kind of rough texturing, leave a little bit of white on top of the rocks here and there. The background, just areas of color, a few indications of tree trunks or branches, etc. A few little greener pieces of greenery here and there, and that's enough for the, and the little pooling of water with all the foaminess over here, where the water is hitting the pool of water. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy my painting. And please visit my website at aafinearts.com, where you will see information about my virtual classes and a selection of my paintings and prints. Until next time.